Fatutu is just around the corner, and with her, one of the remaining roles in the follow-up meta will finally be completed. Welcome to her build guide. Fatutu is a mineral healer, capable of surprisingly high amount of raw healing, redistribution of HP, debuffing enemies, and dispel capabilities. While this sounds great already, let's dive deeper to understand her value more. First, her insight. Insight 1 enables her shell mechanic, but before we talk about it, let's check what they can do. Spirit shells change behavior depending on where they are. When on Fatutu, the shells will be on standby, and when attacked by a direct attack or a distributed attack, they will attach to the enemy. When on the enemy, they act as a debuff, making them take 5% more damage taken and 5% crit damage taken per shell. And yes, they stack, however, it will soft cap after a certain amount due to how her kit works. When the enemy carrying receives an attack, Fatutu will retrieve one shell. Now that we know, let's continue with her Insight 1. When entering battle, she will gain 8 spirit shells. These shells will be applied and retrieved multiple times in the battle thanks to her kit. When applying shells, Fatutu will have a 20% chance to gain Moxie. When retrieving the shells, all allies will be healed for an HP value equal to the amount of spirit shells retrieved times Fatutu's attack, then 30% of this will be the amount healed. Lastly, when an enemy carrying shells dies, Fatutu will retrieve all of them automatically. Insight 2 is a 5% attack increase, and Insight 3 makes it so the amount of shells gained when entering battle is increased by an extra 4. Also, when applying or retrieving 7 spirit shells, Fatutu will cast a rank 1 attack called Unmendable Cracks on the enemy carrying the most shells. This attack is her skill 1, so let's move on to her skills to learn more. Unmendable Cracks is a one-target attack debuff, dealing 120 to 300% mental damage and applying 3 spirit shells. This attack will also dispel one random stat down, negative status, or control from all allies. Her second skill is called Ocean in the Shell, and it's a mass buff. When cast, it will evenly split all allies' HP and grant 3 to 8 stacks of Shared Shells Shared Fate to them. Shared Shells Shared Fate is a special status. This status can stack up to 30 times, and when the ally is attacked, it will distribute the instance of damage to all allies and will reduce this buff stack by 1. Casting the buff will also immediately retrieve all spirit shells currently deployed on the enemies. Lastly, her ultimate. It's called Proverb of the Sea, and it's a one-target attack. It deals 700% mental damage, applies all spirit shells, then inflicts Shell Beacon on the target for 2 turns. Shell Beacon is a negative status. After spirit shells are retrieved from the afflicted enemy, the same number will be immediately reapplied. The secret of using Fatutu at her best is clearly learning how to apply as much shells as possible when doing damage, and recall them when necessary while helping the party with the damage taken distribution. Now that we know her kit, let's check what her portraits are and which ones are the best value. P1 increases the additional spirit shell gain from I3 from 4 to 8. P2 reduces the number of applied, retrieve spirit shells required to trigger Amendable Cracks from 7 to 5. P3 is a damage increase for her skill 1. It also increases the shell application to 4 and the chance to gain Moxie from applying shells to 25%. P4 buffs the ultimate, increases the number of shared shell stacks to 4, 6, 10, and also increases the healing formula value to 40% of Fatutu's attack. Lastly, P5 improves the debuff intensity of shells themselves, now at 6% damage dealt and crit damage. If you're going for portraits, the best value is definitely coming from P1 and P2, increasing Fatutu's performance in both damage and healing. When it comes to Psychube, Fatutu can use her own, called Cracks in the Shell. It will be available in the game shop and it's currently her best option, giving her 4 to 8% healing done and 1 to 2.4% team-wide crit damage buff when receiving damage, stacking to 12 times for a total of 14 to 28 rounded crit damage for 3 rounds. Moving to her resonance, Fatutu is using an attack-focused resonance with a hyper frequency, considering the healing formula for the shell. That said, here's a more crit-oriented build if you think her healing is enough and want to focus on doing a little bit more damage, especially if in possession of portraits. Lastly, let's now talk about her team options. Considering her core kit, obviously pairing her with the other follow-up team members is going to be the most logical option. However, considering how easy it is to benefit from one or more parts of her kit, Fatutu can virtually be used as a universal healer in almost all case scenarios, making her an extremely versatile sustain regardless if you have a follow-up attack team or not. Obviously, her best team members are going to be units with any kind of follow-up attacks, such as Flutterpage, Euphoria Lilia, 37, Anjanala, Lucy, Chinense, Winsong, or the next patch limited Liang Yu, but Fatutu can also be used efficiently as a placeholder for Impromptu, for example, since its attack can trigger Spirit Shells while waiting for a proper dedicated sustain. Overall, Fatutu is a great option for all kinds of reasons, from completing the follow-up meta team to just having a great healer option to use in virtually any comp you want, so picking her up will definitely add a strong pillar to your roster, both now and in the future. That's it for today's guide. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section below, join my Discord or come ask me live at twitch.tv/Jakazin. Thank you for watching and see you next time.